What lies beneath the surface of fame and fortune? Cassie Ventura's testimony unveils a hidden world that challenges everything we thought we knew. For years, whispers surrounded Diddy's empire, stories of underground rooms, secret rituals, and masked strangers. Most dismissed it as conspiracy fodder or tabloid fluff. But when Cassie Ventura stepped into federal court, those whispers turned into a chilling reality. She didn't flinch when the defense asked the question, "Have you ever been inside the tunnel beneath the mansion?" Just one word, yes. And the entire courtroom shifted. According to Cassie, the entrance to the tunnel wasn't inside the house. It was disguised, hidden behind dense foliage near the pool, a patch of landscaping that looked like nothing at all. But beneath the leaves was a hatch, one that opened to a concrete staircase leading into the unknown. As they descended, Cassie remembered the temperature dropping. The deeper they went, the colder it got. Not just physically, emotionally too. This wasn't some high-end panic room or a private wine cellar. This was something else entirely, a place designed to stay hidden. She described the layout in unsettling detail. A long, sterile corridor lit by buzzing fluorescent lights. No windows, no phone signal, only silence and the faint echo of their footsteps. Diddy walked ahead, muttering to himself about proving a point. Cassie wanted to turn back, but she didn't. Not with the look he had in his eyes. That look that meant, don't argue. What waited at the end of that corridor was nothing she could have prepared for. But that was only the beginning. The steel door at the end of the corridor opened with a loud hiss. Cassie stepped into a room that felt more like a facility than any part of a home. Cold concrete floors, walls padded for silence, red-tinted lights that bathed everything in a low, eerie glow, and cameras mounted in every corner, quietly blinking. The air was thick with a strange mix of cleaning chemicals and something harder to define: sweat, latex, and fear. This wasn't a lounge, it wasn't a studio. It was built for something else entirely. Cassie described it all with a detached calm, like someone who had gone over the memory 1,000 times in silence. Leather furniture lined the walls, a shelf filled with props, masks, oils, ropes, latex outfits, some still in their packaging. A rack of pristine clothing hung in a corner, untouched. Mirrors reflected the space from the floor and ceiling, turning it into an echo chamber of shadows. She said it didn't feel like fantasy. It felt like control. Everything in that room was about power, not shared pleasure. Power, and the kind you don't give willingly. The defense asked her directly, "Did you see anyone else down there?" She paused, then said yes. There were two women. Both wore wigs and full-face masks. One lay motionless on a leather couch. The other sat beside a camera tripod. Neither spoke. Neither even looked her way. Diddy had called them performers. Cassie said she was never introduced. She stayed only a few minutes, long enough to feel the weight of what that room truly was. She made an excuse, said she felt sick, and went back upstairs. She locked the bedroom door behind her and waited. Hours later, Diddy came to her. Not with concern, not with comfort. He told her, "You didn't see anything. You don't repeat anything. That place is for me, not for you." Cassie never returned to that tunnel, but what she saw haunted her, because that first room wasn't the only one down there. There were more, and each one was worse than the last. As the testimony unfolded, a new term surfaced, one that jurors had seen in Cassie and Diddy's old messages, but never truly understood until now. Freakoffs. At first, it sounded like a private joke, something playful, but when Cassie explained it under oath, the meaning shifted. Fast. A freak-off was never spontaneous. It was planned, scheduled like a business meeting. It involved drugs, costumes, and roles Cassie was assigned ahead of time. Sometimes it was just the two of them. Sometimes there were others, strangers, celebrities, escorts. The setting varied: mansions, luxury hotels, private apartments. But the rules stayed the same: obey, perform, and never break character. Cassie described being told to wear latex suits, wigs, even remain silent for hours. Breaking the rules meant punishment, verbal or otherwise, and sometimes no safe word was allowed. One message entered into evidence said it all. This time, I want control. No safe word. Cassie admitted she sometimes agreed to participate, but said agreement while drugged isn't consent, and more often than not, she didn't remember what happened until days later, if at all. One of those nights happened inside the tunnel, and what happened there nearly broke her. As Cassie described these events, one theme kept returning: control. It wasn't just physical, it was digital, emotional, psychological. Diddy kept everything: photos, videos, recordings. Cassie once caught a glimpse of a clip on his laptop. Herself, with two men, in an event she didn't remember attending. She begged him to delete it. His reply? I keep everything. For leverage. She lived under constant surveillance. If she left the house without permission, her phone would ring 50 times. If she didn't answer, he'd accuse her of betrayal. Sometimes he'd threaten to ruin her career. Other times he'd cut off her access to pills, claiming she was stealing from him. She became isolated from her friends, from her family, even from herself. At one point, she checked into a luxury rehab facility disguised as a wellness spa. But he found out. He showed up, told the staff she was just being dramatic, and she left the next day. I was completely dependent, she told the court. Not just on the drugs, on him. But the worst part, she wasn't alone. When the courtroom turned to physical violence, everything changed. The manipulation, the tunnels, the sex games. They were already horrifying. But now the damage had a body count. Heron Cassie confirmed it plainly. Yes, he assaulted me many times. At first it was subtle, a tight grip on her wrist, a push during an argument. But over time, it escalated. She recalled one night, arriving home late. Diddy was drunk. He accused her of cheating. She wasn't. He screamed. She blacked out. The next thing she remembered was blood, pain, and a deep gash over her eye. Photos shown in court backed her story. Another night, she said, he kicked her in the back after reading a text from another man, rapper Kid Cutie. They had dated briefly during a break in her relationship with Diddy, but even years later, he used it as an excuse for rage. The lowest moment came on a boat in the Caribbean. He said I was dead weight, she recalled, and he threw me off. She swam to shore, drenched and shaking. But she still went back. There was one event that shattered everything. The night before her film premiere. Cassie had spent years building toward that moment. Red carpet, big screen, her movie. But instead of celebration, Diddy had other plans. He told her they needed to reconnect, that it was tradition to have a freak-off before every big moment. She said no, at first, but he pushed. He said it would be quick. She gave in. Cassie was driven to the Intercontinental Hotel, thinking it would just be the two of them. But the room told a different story. Two women, one masked male dancer, candles, a camera, and a pill. He said it would help me loosen up, she told the jury. What followed was a blur, flashes in the mirror, slurred words, the dancer. Diddy's phone pointed at her. Then, nothing. She woke up alone, drenched in sweat. A text from Diddy said, "You were amazing, I'm proud." She never replied. That morning, she walked the red carpet with a smile. No one saw the bruises under her dress. No one knew what had happened just hours before. But Cassie did. And that was the moment something inside her broke. After that night, Cassie began imagining a life without him. Quiet at first, just thoughts, then therapy, then flashbacks. Details she'd locked away began resurfacing. Rooms, faces, voices. She filed a civil lawsuit. It was settled quickly, but the damage was done, not to her, but to the silence. Her case opened the floodgates. Other women came forward. Anonymous tips, sworn affidavits, a federal investigation. The FBI raided Diddy's properties. What they found remained sealed, but rumors swirled. About tunnels, about files, about footage. Cassie refused media interviews. I didn't want to be a symbol, she said. I just wanted to be free. But freedom came with a cost, one she was finally willing to pay. Cassie Ventura didn't just tell a story. She exposed a hidden empire, one buried beneath fame, luxury, and silence. From underground tunnels to high-rise hotels, from bruises to blackmail, her testimony painted a picture that was impossible to ignore. And while the trial is still unfolding, one thing is already clear. The mask has cracked. No matter what verdict comes next, the truth is out, and someone somewhere is finally listening. Finally listening.